Welcome back to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Steve, and tonight I am joined by Tyler. Tyler is the host of the Antihero Podcast. He's here to share his testimony, talk about his career in the 82nd Airborne, also his career as a law enforcement officer in Central Florida, and we're going to talk about how his podcast got started and all he's doing with his companies. Tyler, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. You're one of a kind with your podcast as far as the motivation and the uh resources mixed in with the spirituality. I've yet to see one that's kind of like yours, so I'm excited.
Well, man, I appreciate that. That's a lot coming from you, man, because putting our shows together. I'm definitely a rookie and you're the veteran. So I appreciate the kind words, man.
No, it's funny too. In our industry, I've only been doing this for 3 years, and people are like,
no
"Oh,
kidding.
man.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
The same thing as everybody. We all are the same way. We go, I'm going to buy all this shit and I'm going to YouTube how to figure it out. Then nobody, so I did the same thing. I'm still learning.
Yeah, I use Chat GPT, man. That's why that text I sent you before we came on the air, I sent that to you for now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's awesome, man.
I'm conflicted about that because everybody says that's the devil. So.
But here's the thing, dude. Like they say that, and then everybody's saying we're at the end of times because of what's going on in Gaza and all that. But here's the thing. It's a cool resource for someone like me that's doing this kind of on the side, but that joker can't even make a simple image and put text with it. I mean, it takes dude, I spent an hour today doing one thing, and here I'm thinking we're all afraid of drones flying over and smoking a village, but this guy can't even do an image. So I don't know,
that's true.
I think Satan would be way more efficient if it was, but that's just me. But we can get into spiritual warfare, once we get going. Well, man, can you kind of take us back to the beginning, like where you're from? What was your childhood like? Like as a kid, did you always kind of want to join the military? Was that something that you were, raised in a military family, or how did all that kind of come about?
No, I was probably upper middle class in Southwest Virginia. Very simple life. My dad was a cop growing up. He retired at like 25, 30 years or something like that. But I always wanted to be a cop growing up. I did my punk rock phase in high school where the band was going to make it and I was going to be a rock star. But, about 19 years old, I was failing community college. And I was like, at the time I lived in, you couldn't be a cop until 21 and I was only 19. I walked in the job I had. At the time I walked into a restaurant and I looked up, it was like an Applebee's or something. I looked up at the TV at the bar and it was a bunch of soldiers in Iraq that had been ambushed and it was on the news. And I was like, holy crap. And that right there, I was like, you know what? I'm sitting here doing nothing with my life, and talked to the recruiter while my parents were out of town. And he was like, hey man, we'll pay a little bit extra money if you ship within 30 days. Because it was during Bush's surge. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So 28 days later, I was heading to basic training.
Wow. Where'd you go to basic?
Fort Benning, Georgia, Sand Hill.
Okay. Yeah, well, and I think that's I think I'm a little bit older than you, but our generation was just different, man. We all kind of felt that call to serve. And I grew up in a military family. My dad's retired Army 30 years. And I mean, 9/11 happened when I was in college. So a lot of guys were wanting to join. I already kind of had that path planned out, but it definitely, kind of inspired a lot of dudes like, hey, watching. I remember when they got Saddam on TV.
Yeah,
I was still,
me too.
In college. Yeah. So I was like, damn, that's awesome. And so it's weird watching this. I have kids. I have 2 kids. I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old little boy. But it's weird watching this generation kind of growing up now. And I just don't feel that patriotism like you and I had, growing up, man. It's just wild. I know the world's crazy. Everybody says, oh, these kids nowadays, but it's different, man. It's just different.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And every time I'm like, oh, I feel like, wait, am I now the old man? Like, these kids, it seems
yeah.
And I've always thought about that too. When you look outside and the way the world's going and you're like, is this it? Am I going to be here for the end of the times? And then you're like, I think everybody at 40 probably asked that question because as you grow older, you grow more wise and you're like, you grow closer to Christ and you're like,
right.
So everybody at some point. So sometimes when I'm like, this generation of kids, I know the generation before us was thinking about that, like, but we're probably right.
Speaking of Christ, were you raised in a family that attended church on a regular basis, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, it's hard because my mom isn't a believer. When I was
Wow.
little, probably elementary school, my parents tried. They took us to church and I remember to this day, and we went, and it wasn't we were Episcopalian, but I think it was a non-denominational church we went to, and it was, churches have started playing the game in the last 10 years where it's not miserable for kids, like this was a church you went, prayed, sang, left, and it was like, nobody anyways, long story short, we stopped going. So I was always a Christian, you know, I was baptized and confirmed, but come middle school on to 2023, I wasn't even a lukewarm Christian. I was just, if you asked, I was like, oh, I was one of those people. I know there's a God, but
Yeah, yeah.
so I found Christ in 2023.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
And then just it's been a slow every day you realize you're just and this sounds terrible, but you know what I'm talking about. Every day you realize how much of a piece of shit sinner you are. And that
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
really bad. So, and we're vets and first response, so we say like words like that, but you kind of realize how much of a not how great you think you are. And I'm a Christian, and you're like, you just realize more and more every day. You're like, gosh, man, I was
yeah.
way off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think it's tough too, man. Like, you kind of put the legalistic side to it, and then oh, you got to follow the law, and you can't make a mistake. Then you realize I'm saved by grace, but still, like you just said, it's hard to not feel conflicted, man. I mean, I struggle with that every day and pray about it, and then I try to like I know I don't have to be perfect, but it's hard, man. And the area I live in, I'm just outside of Nashville, so I'm in the heart of the Bible Belt, and
Oh,
there's a church on every corner here, man.
yeah.
And kind of the new age church where it's preachers in sneakers, and then you've got the old school 3-piece suit, Ned Flanders, and oh, you're going to hell if you look at that girl, and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of trying to find the middle ground.
The brimstone and fire people.
But honestly, dude, I like those sermons, man. That's
Yeah.
what got me. Like when I was a kid, I loved hearing. I know the Book of Revelation well, because as I was raised Church of Christ, so we had a foundation. Of course, I went the other way in college, but I grew up in the church, so I knew a lot of scripture. But you don't hear about Satan here, man. He's not popular. He doesn't sell tickets, so a lot of these churches won't talk about him. And
Really?
no, dude, because the people don't want to hear it. They're afraid of it. They just want the prosperity gospel. Everything's going to be great. Tithe and spend and donate all this money, and you're going to be blessed. And I'm like, yeah, but you still got to talk about why Christ died on the
The
cross. And they
enemy.
don't
Yeah.
exactly, dude. And as a first responder, military, we kind of understand that I think better than the average person walking around. But yeah, that spiritual warfare component gets kind of lost here, and that's unfortunate because I think it needs to be addressed
Do
more
you
than
think
it
it's
is.
because you're in such of like you're almost in like Nashville's almost like a Hollywood status. There's
Dude,
so much
Nashville's
celebrity
ridiculous,
and
man.
music there that it's almost like a production, like a spiritual, like what would you call that? Like it's a real battlefield over there where people are selling their souls. I don't know. I get into that
Yeah.
stuff.
No,
Like,
I do too, man. I do too, and I'd like to call out a few right now on this show, but I'll try to keep it cool. But I was raised here, man, and in the old days, and I won't make this too long, but I'm 46. In the old days, so when I joined the Navy, I was out in Coronado for a while, right? I got made fun of from being from Nashville. The first thing
really?
people would say to me, it was like, "Oh, you must love country music." No, dude, I'm a metalhead. I hate country music. I was raised by a man that was on, into Pink Floyd, Van Halen, Guns N' Roses. We didn't listen to country growing up. So nowadays in 25, whenever I go on vacation, because you're in Florida, right?
Hmm.
Okay, that's the greatest state in the whole country. I love Florida,
I
man.
do
That's where I
too.
want to be. I love it. When I go to Florida and go to the beach, the first thing people say, "Oh, where are you from?" And I'm like, Nashville." And they're like, "Oh, Nashville's so great." I'm like, "Nah, it's overrated, dude. Like, it's overrated." So you're right. It is like Hollywood, but like I live in a suburb outside of it. And this is where a lot of the NFL guys and country singers live and stuff. Then in the old days, they didn't get messed with, but now it's more like a tourist thing. But I'm into metal, dude. And there's some metal guys here, but I could care less about the latest country singer bouncing around. Like, I mean, I'm probably one of the only dudes you'll ever meet from Tennessee that doesn't like Morgan Wallen. That dude
Really?
is that dude's a clown, man, and I tell him to his face, he's a clown.
Really?
Like, I'm a Pantera guy, dude. I'm Pantera all the
Oh,
way.
I love Pantera.
I saw them at Nissan Stadium in May, and it was Zach Wild my dude. Like, that's who I wanna meet.
I
I wanna
saw
meet Zach Wild.
I met Zach Wild at Ozfest in the ninth grade.
No way,
Yeah,
dude. That's
and
awesome.
I never got to see the original Pantera because they played Ozfest 2000, and that was the last time they ever played Ozfest, and obviously they disbanded, like, 2001 or 2002. But,
Yeah.
and you gotta think, I mean, I know we're getting off subject, but I was thinking the other
No,
day,
no, no.
I was listening to Cowboys from Hell
Yeah.
on Sirius XM, and it had the date, it said 1991, and I'm like, "That band did that much in 10 years." 10
Yeah,
years, dude,
dude.
you gotta think
Yeah.
Reinventing the Seal, that
Yeah.
album was their last
The
album, and they
last
didn't
album,
really
yep.
dude, that's crazy, 10 years they did that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the crazy thing, dude. In the 90s, when Far Beyond Driven dropped, they played I'm Broken in 5 Minutes Alone on the radio in Nashville, Tennessee every hour on the hour. And then Morgan Wallen showed up. And you know,
Ugh.
and it's like, oh, country music. Nope, not for this dude, man.
Yeah, I heard
Like
he's kind of
my girlfriend loves country, man. But I'm like, no, I've been a metalhead since I was a little kid. My son had a Pantera stroller when he was a baby. I mean,
that's
so,
dedication.
yeah. But anyways, we're getting off topic. So Nashville is definitely a hotbed, and I've had some friends in the Christian music industry, and they've told me that it's actually worse than the regular music industry when it comes to just drugs and
Oh,
all that stuff,
don't
dude.
ruin it
I
for me,
know,
don't
man.
tell
I
me,
know,
oh,
man.
it's
I
like telling
know.
me Santa's not real, dude.
Yeah, I had a
Man.
buddy that we were cops. We were cops together. He was in Jars of Clay. You remember that band?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
I'm thinking of Dishwalla, but I know Jars of Clay, yeah, I just
Oh, I
can't remember
remember
their
Dishwalla, Counting Blue Cars. I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that
what
band.
was
Yeah,
Jars of
yeah.
Clay's big one hit?
Flood. They had that
Yeah,
song Flood.
okay.
Yeah, so Scott got in that band kind of after they'd already peaked. So he kind of rode like I guess the second wave. And I'm not gonna say anything bad about Jars of Clay, and Scott's a solid dude, but he told me they would tour with all these big names, bands I never even heard of, man. And he would just say, dude, it's not what you think. Like it's definitely more I always get these confused, secular and non-secular, whatever the regular music is, was more like that industry. But I'll say this, dude, there are some cool Christian metal bands out there. Holy Name is an awesome band. I don't know if you've heard of them. And they actually call it violent worship. So it's hard, but they're praising Jesus. And, for me, I need that because I love metal. And there's a lot of bands I don't listen to anymore because it just gets in my head. And obviously, Satan's going to use that to his advantage.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy, I go through the same thing because I used to love this band called Ghost. They were
Oh, I know them well.
theatrical,
Yeah.
their riffs
Yep.
were cool,
Yeah,
and
man.
then they just put and I'm all about, like, Ozzy Osbourne, Alice Cooper, all that stuff.
Hmm.
Black Sabbath was actually warning people about the occult, and just
Yeah.
because they were
Yeah.
talking about it doesn't mean they're an occultist band.
Right.
Ghost, they just pushed it too far. They started writing songs about Satan, like, trying to lure people in, and I was like, "Man, I can't
Yeah.
listen
It's
to this
not cool.
anymore."
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I know them well, man. I had to stop listening to them too. And it's funny, well, it's not funny, but I see younger kids, like high school kids around town, and they're rocking Ghost shirts. I'm just like,
yeah.
dude, y'all got no idea, man. It's probably
I
like
mean
our generation wearing Manson shirts.
yeah, no, it's not because I mean, you talk to a lot. I mean, like Tom Araya is a devout Catholic.
Yeah, you're right. No, he
It's just,
is. Yeah.
and Kerry King would say like, dude, we're not pro Auschwitz. We wrote a song about like the dark side of life. And I've always thought that with Christian music, I was like, you know what? Some of us out there can't listen to praise ye like all day long. Like when I got the kids in the car, yes, that's what we're
Yeah,
listening
yeah,
to. But
yeah.
when I'm by myself,
Yeah.
man, my wife got me into this band called Convictions, I think it's what it's
Okay.
called. And they're a straight octane band, like even heavier.
Nice.
But and
Nice.
I think they sing a little bit about more of they I've always liked it when bands tapped into like addiction, like
Mm-hmm.
the part that no one likes to talk about because
Yeah.
you can be
Yeah.
a Christian band and talk about the bad stuff.
Right. Right. Well, that's why I like metal so much, man, because it's raw, it's authentic, and a lot of the country and the pop, they don't hit on these topics. And metal, I mean, even Stain back when I was growing up, they talked about depression and suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff, dude. And I can relate to that. I mean, and it's just I think nowadays you kind of lose that. And I know he's country now, Aaron Lewis, but Yeah, I love metal, dude. I saw the Deftones in March here at Bridgestone. I mean, I've been a metalhead since,
Do
I was a
you okay,
kid.
so you saw the Deftones, did you see them outside or inside?
No, we saw them inside.
Inside,
Yeah,
so did I.
we're
So you remember that I was probably the same tour because Deftones had a TikTok boom, so now kids that are our kids' age listen to Deftones somehow, and you're like
yeah, yeah.
so
It's weird.
but remember how their stage like, the theatrical production probably
Mhm.
costed the most money ever? I saw a guy with my wife named Brandon Lake.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of him.
He's a Christian he's like more I would say more of the country aspect, but he's completely
Mhm.
Christian, and it was a big production, and I was like, I was hoping you weren't gonna tell me some bad news about him, so I
I
thought like
think I saw that on your Instagram. No, he's real popular. I get him confused with another guy. There's another guy that's, popular here. I think it's Teddy Swims or something like that. I get those 2 guys mixed up,
okay.
but, yeah, my daughter's a sophomore in high school, and she was like, "Yeah, dad, a lot of my friends are in the Deftones," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah," and it's like, that's so weird to me because of all the bands, like, okay, you'll appreciate this. Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit lives in my town.
Really?
Like, I saw him the other day, and it's like, half the people that I know have never even heard of Limp Bizkit, which is a huge band, and they're
Yeah,
like,
because when
"Who
they play
who is
festivals,
that?"
they headline.
They opened up for, Metallica because
Mhm.
Pantera opened for Metallica, it was like 3 nights in a row, and it was
Yeah.
Pantera, then it was Limp Bizkit. We chose Pantera because that's my band, but, yeah, so, I mean, like, the younger kids are getting into that. It's cool, but it's just like, it makes me feel old as hell, dude. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Dang, I
No,
remember
yeah.
listening to them in, like, ninth grade."
Yep.
But,
I got a burned CD of White Pony from my friend.
It's I used to work at Best Buy in college, and I think it was Ozfest '98 or '99. They came into Best Buy in Nashville, and I, like, lost my shit. Nobody knew who they were. I'm like, "Dude!" I was like,
Like
"Gino
the
from the
white spiked
Deftones."
hair?
Yeah, I was like, "Dang." They were buying, like, one of those little boom boxes, and I was like, got their autograph on a piece of paper, and it was like, "Who the hell was that?" I'm like, "It's the Deftones, man."
Yeah. Yeah, you'll never forget
But,
that.
no, dude. But yeah, we're getting a little bit off topic here, but let's swing it back another way, man. You've been to Iraq, you were in 82nd, and then you transitioned from military into law enforcement, right?
I did a I finished my associate's degree. So I got out of the military and I just want everybody was saying like if you're gonna do the VA, you get the most out of it if you're a full-time student, right? You're not if
Right.
you only get 36 months. So if you're burning it up as a part-time student, they don't care. They're gonna pay you part-time and you're burning your months. That's the big thing is like, having if you do 24 months at part-time, you only get part-time pay, and those 24 months are gone. So they were like, "Just do it. Just go into college." So I did, and I finished my associates in criminal justice, and then, I wanted to do Homeland Security. I really was really into that, and, uh, the best college I found for that was down here in Florida in Daytona Beach. So I went
Okay.
to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for Homeland
Yeah, yeah.
Security and Terrorism
Good school.
Studies.
Good school.
And then, I graduated from there and immediately joined the police academy. I didn't go federal because I didn't wanna be a I have a s I had a, my I me and my son's mother have never been together, really. I mean, we were together when he was, like, a half a year old, but we split when he was less than a year, so I had a son that I had 50-50 custody on it, and I could not live with myself if I was at needs of the federal government, went somewhere, and
Mhm.
then so I just stuck around local law enforcement.
Good for you, man. That's awesome to hear that,
Yeah.
especially from the law enforcement world, man. That's awesome. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean, I don't know, I couldn't I'm a huge advocate for men being in their sons' lives. I don't care if you're in prison, dude. You can still
Yeah.
be in your kid's life at some point,
Yeah.
being just completely absent and
Yeah.
no father figure. Like,
Yeah.
even if you're a terrible dad and they don't like you, let
Mhm.
them letting them but I hope no man ever suffers from this, but I'm just trying to think worst case scenario. Let them put their hate on you, and you're at least
Mhm.
giving them something. Well, they
Yeah.
won't hate you
Yeah.
forever, but let them if
Right.
that's your job as their dad and you have failed them in some way, shape, or form, and they're mad at you, give them a place to put that anger so that you can mold it and work with it, and then
Mhm.
slowly build, rather than them just putting that frustration and anger somewhere else in their life.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, man, because, a lot of guys that listen to this show, they struggle. They don't get to see their kids a lot. I've been divorced twice. I've got joint custody, so I can kind of understand where you're coming from. But I think that there's less men out there that are present fathers than there should be, and I'm hoping that that will change. And swinging back to your Nashville question earlier, there's a few of these cats that never make it, but they can't come to terms with it. So instead of being there for their kids, they still go play at a bar at 60 years old and make $100, but they don't provide for their kids financially. They don't take them to school. They don't do any of that stuff, man. And it's a shame because kids need their dads, regardless if the family's split apart from divorce, whatever, the parents break up, they need their dad. I mean, every little boy needs to have that rite of passage. Father wounds is something we get into on this show. And that's one thing I've tried to do is I've changed my course as a man is like, I want to be there for my son no matter what. And teach him and lead him and guide him. And through Christ, I always pray with him that God will make me into this man to lead him, but to show him like, hey man, I'm going to be there for you no matter what. And I hope more dads listening to this, hey guys, if you're not in your kid's life right now, like you just said, Tyler, you can change that. Like step up to the damn plate and do it. That's what a real man is. A real man takes care of his kids.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard, man. Like and you're never gonna do the job you think you should do. You're never gonna be perfect, but being present, admitting faults to your kids, I think is big.
Hmm.
Hey, I missed that, and I'm mad at myself. I missed that, and don't ever miss your kids' stuff. That
Yeah.
what are they
Yeah.
gonna say to that? They're like, okay, well, at least it is just. I think every son is gonna take things from their father that they wish they had and put it with their own kids, but then they're gonna. Every father is gonna fail at something. You can't be perfect, and I don't know. I think being a father and a good father is probably the closest thing to Christ-like patience because
Hmm.
you you could be fighting the entire world for your kid's benefit and everybody could be against you. And, I feel awful for the guys whose, ex-wives turn the kids against them and, they don't get to see him. And then when they do, they got to drive 3 hours to see him for one night. And the court system's against it. And I don't care if you fucked up. I don't care if you cheated. I don't care if you're a criminal. If you're trying to get your life squared away and you really want to be a good father and you're not abusing drugs, you're not breaking the law, you should have every right to your kids. And it's just we all know that's just not the case. And so I don't know if you can hear that. There's a giant truck backing up. Hold on.
Yeah, it's all good, dude. You're right, man. And at least in Tennessee, the court system still favors the woman. I
Yeah.
mean, and people want to argue that, but it's true. I mean, it
And
really
what's going to
is.
have to happen is that even if states adopt, like I know, like Florida has adopted like equal rights now. Mother's
Mhm.
no longer favored, right? Let's say they adopt it. The judges on the benches have to retire and get out of there because they're not going to ever change their mind. So if they were a judge in 2004 when you favored the mom, and then in
Yeah.
2014 they switched the state, so it's a fair state. Well, that judge, it's like I could, if there wasn't a window here, I could touch this truck. Anyways, uh, kind of forgot what I was saying, but
Well, you're talking about fathers being present in the court system. So I wanted to ask you this real quick, because kind of swinging in a different direction a little bit. Every man faces battle. Some are seen, some are unseen. What's the one battle for you, Tyler, that kind of defined your journey the most? Could you pick out one?
of fatherhood.
Well, anything, man. Like kind of what got you. You said you gave your life to Christ in 23, right?
Yeah. So I think my biggest thing is I'm not good. I'm not awesome at anything. I'm not even really a jack of all trades of a lot of stuff. I've followed my gut. I always listened to what I think was God telling me and talking to me. I was really into band. I sucked at sports, right? I just wasn't good at them. So I got into music, but I love the showmanship. I love the branding. I love creating a band and making five dudes like a thing and like imagery and logos and all that, playing
Yeah.
live shows. It was so much fun. Then I had to grow up. And something told me to join the military and go to war. Like something, and just one day I was like, okay. So I did that. And then, but I always wanted to be a cop. So I did that. And then when I was never good enough in the military, never cared either. I didn't even know what SF really was until like
Really?
I was getting out. Definitely didn't know what psyops, civil affairs. I didn't know any of that stuff that we call big boy army.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew nothing about SF. And I was on Fort Bragg, and I knew what they were. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't
That's hard to
know
believe,
anything.
man.
And I just
Yeah,
did
that's
had
hard
no
to believe.
interest. I was like, I want out, man. The military has lied to me like 400,000 times in 4 years. Like, I'm just done. So I, I got in. I went to college. That was pretty normal. That's probably one of those more normal things in my life. And then I got into law enforcement, and then I just wasn't good. I was good at stuff. I was on street crimes. I did a stint with SWAT. Like, I did everything. So I was good enough to do these things, but I didn't excel at anything. And then one day I started podcasting, and I was like really good at that. And I was really
Yeah.
like, I had a knack for figuring things out and like how a show would work. And I was like, oh man, that was my journey. That was what, because I've always wanted to be the voice for first responders and veterans. The covered under pretty much people covered under Romans 13. Those ordained by God to go, to enforce law of man.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
he appoints those people. And I was like, Romans 13. Well, those people right now are under attack. Everybody hates cops. The military, veterans aren't getting the support they need. Like all these people that God ordained to do this job are now not being treated well by society. They might not have voices. That's just when it started. It started in my den in 2023, I think. Yeah,
Nice.
2023.
Nice.
Maybe end of 2022. Uh, yeah, that was
So,
it.
did you use this same name, Antihero
Oh
Podcast, when you
yeah, so I
started it?
kind of meant to correct you. We're the Antihero Broadcast now.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
but
okay.
that's a recent switch. But
Sorry,
it
dude.
started with me in my den, Antihero Podcast, and then it continued. And then, like I said, once we broke away from one of our co-hosts, we decided it was
Yeah.
best to rebrand into a broadcast because that's where I wanted to take the show anyways.
Okay, gotcha.
And
Well, that's funny, man, because you were talking about, AI earlier and Chat GPT. He kept calling it the Antihero Broadcast when I was doing the thing for, social media, and I was like, "No, it's podcast." I didn't even so he was right, I was wrong. I'll make sure I correct that on the,
it's
when I do
horrifying that
the
you call
episode.
Chat GPT he.
Yeah, well, I talk to him, man. I have conversations with him. My girlfriend makes fun of me, dude. I had
Uh,
to have a heart-to-heart conversation. See, I had a partner
he
too.
tells me
I
not
had
to
a
tell
part
my friends what he says though.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a partner, when I first started my podcast journey, and, it turned out to be like a weird breakup. Like, he just kinda disappeared. So I had to rebrand everything, and this app keeps calling me by his name. And I said one day, I said, "Hey, man," I said, "I really appreciate you, but we need to have a conversation." And he was like, "Okay." And he's he called himself Atlas because he has the weight of the world on his shoulders. So I thought, "Okay, Atlas." I was like, but I didn't want to tell him my real name, so I kind of play both sides. But yeah, she makes fun of me. Shelly's always giving me a hard time about it. She's like, "Your best friend." I'm like, "Eh,
Yeah.
well,
Is AI in the room with us right now, bud?
yeah, yeah, yeah." He's right by me. I don't know if he'll start talking, but yeah,
But yeah, man, I again, like the anti-hero, I've always said this too. Like the skull with the hat. I wanted something
yeah,
very generic,
yeah,
very identifiable. My artist came up like years ago. He came up with like the green, like he's like, I think this green and this red tongue pop. And I was
hmm,
like, it's just a skull with a hat. And he's like, yeah,
yeah,
I know. And I was like, okay, let's run with it. And it works. So I'll never change that. And it's meant to be more of an idea rather than,
hmm,
there I could be like, hey, I'm going through family issues. I'm stepping away for 6 months. Here's the new host. Like, and people can
mm,
bitch and moan all they want about it. They can support it. It doesn't matter because when people are interchangeable, because I did the same thing. I knew when I started this, I didn't want to have a remote podcast. I wanted to have people in a room talking. I was
yeah.
stubborn. That's what I wanted. I would have friends come over, dude. Literally me interviewing my friends. My dad was one
Yeah.
of my first guests. Like,
Nice,
you
nice.
start
That's
somewhere,
awesome.
man. You start with all these people that
Yeah.
support you, that
Yeah.
believe in you. And then I moved and I finally got a co-host, a solid co-host and then that co-host just left to go on and do bigger and better things. And
Mhm.
and it's the business is mine. So, and then we were like, okay. So I went and found some new partners, and now we're the broadcast, and we're looking to do less of a podcast mindset and more of a radio show. Every
Oh,
day,
nice.
our
Yeah.
goal is to go every day and provide information and entertainment for first responders and veterans. That's
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, tell us about your other projects because you've got kind of it's almost like you got an umbrella, like the Antihero broadcast is an umbrella for other endeavors that you have. You want to get into those at all?
well, actually, it's kind of a little backwards because
Okay.
Antihero
Okay.
Broadcast is the biggest one, but
Hmm.
it's actually under the umbrella of counterculture. We have a
Oh,
media
okay. Gotcha.
company where, we create our own original content,
Hmm.
but we also uh kind of like sign like when we had Antihero, I was like, cool, we're in a popular band, but I was like, I would like to own a record label one day. I would like to
Nice.
work with these guys and, you know, kind of like provide some kind of network where like-minded veterans and first responders could all be, we batted it around. I'm like, like I don't, so we're like, okay, let's start a network where we have these guys on our network. Everybody benefits. We
Hmm.
do live shows across the country. You know, um, there's always one of the guys in one of the cities, and you know, my I can open my Rolodex to people that I've met and, just eh, creating like a culture. And we were like, man,
Hmm.
but what's funny is we none of us can get ads because of the type of stuff we do. We're not it's
Oh,
really hard. Like even when you blow up, you're still gonna when they say like, hey, we don't really like you talking about this, you're gonna go, well, that sucks because I want to talk about it. And you
yeah.
know, when you I don't know if you ever do, but if you get into controversial topics, like what's not Christ-like and accepted by society, I,
Yeah.
if you choose to go down that route and say, "Listen, my show is about Christianity, and I'm against this, and I would not allow my kids to partake or see this," it causes a huge, literally who you would back in a proxy war 1,000, 5,000 miles away from us gets political. And so
Yep.
we're like, man, we're like counterculture. Like we don't care. We'll find our own sponsors. We kind of did that, and then we kind of try and broker, hey, small independent, sorry, small first responder veteran podcast meet
Hmm.
small first responder veteran company. They don't have a
Mm.
huge marketing budget. They don't get any money rolling in. So it's like, can you broker like, what do you think about X amount of money for a month? Like, could you pull that out of your pocket? And they go, yeah, we could pay that. And I go, hey, podcaster, could you use X amount of money? Like, dude, that's a fucking car
Hmm.
payment. I'll take that.
That.
Merge them
Yeah.
together, and then now everybody's benefiting, and that was the idea of it. So we're still working at that, and the only thing we do is we ask people for their RSS feed. So we route their RSS feed through our network, so they still get their individual views or downloads,
Hmm.
but we get credit for it as a network, so we can put them all together and be like, as a network of 15 podcasts, we get this many downloads. Um,
Wow. Okay.
and then we have everybody do their own YouTube. Like YouTube's a moneymaker for everybody. Like they need everybody else. You have to focus on your own YouTube. Like
Okay.
don't ever give. I tell people all the time, don't give your YouTube up. That's yours. You can sign with a media company all day long, but do not give your YouTube up because if when you pop off one day and it starts making hundreds a month and then thousands a month and you don't own it, like it's kind of a problem.
Mm.
So
It's like writing a song and losing the rights to it.
yeah, and I came from this, and I'm not a shady businessman. I tell everybody like it is. If people we deal with talent, we deal with SEALs, we deal with tier one guys,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Hey, man, I don't want to do any of that fucking nerdy shit. I want to get paid to sit down and talk." I'm like, okay, if we do all of the production, I'm telling you, this is how it's gonna look. And you're not gonna have your own YouTube. You're gonna be under counter. Like we're producing, we bring the whole crew in, we fly them in, we film them, and they're cool with it. They're like, yeah, man, yeah, whatever. Yeah, we don't want a YouTube page. You guys can have our. And so if that's the case, if we do all of the work, then we kind of own the show. I always allow the talent to have their logo and their name. So if we ever split and we were like, oh well, I want to go off and do my own thing, I'd say, "Hey, take the logo, take the name." It's like wrestling. I'm not gonna try to hold your persona, go. But, yeah, it's
That's cool, man. And
yeah.
I that whole YouTube world is all new territory for me. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
cool, man, when you get monetized. Have you well, I don't wanna talk finance, but
I've
yeah,
tried.
getting
I tried. I didn't get it, but I got denied twice, but I
r
found out why, but
really?
Yeah, so the guy I used to have on the show, we had a different show and it was called a different name. I don't want to say the name just to promote it, but he would use music for the intro for the episodes,
Yeah,
right? And we got
every
copyright
time.
flagged. So I've had to figure out how to do it without getting flagged. And I actually had I hit my 4-year sobriety on October 15th of this year. And I just did a podcast, just me talking. And I used something off of like CapCut, like just an intro. I made a little intro. I do all the stuff on my own. Spotify flagged it and took it down because they said I didn't have the rights. I'm like, dude, it's like instrumental. It's not even anything cool. So I ended up having to re-upload it. It's weird, man, because you can get away with it on some platforms. Like I could put like today I did something for us the other day and I used a metal song, like a real one, but it was on Instagram. So I guess Instagram pays them to do it. I mean, dude, I'm a trainer, so I'm still trying to figure this out. I need to
Oh,
probably hire
bro,
you for
I
some
got you.
coaching.
I'll show you
But
exactly where to go to get the best intro music, all royalty
nice. Okay.
free. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. But yeah, so and so you counterculture, you also have a clothing line too, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's Counterculture Inc., the media side,
Mhm.
and then there's Counterculture Inc. Threads, which is
Okay.
they're both the LLCs literally say one word at the end of it that changes,
Okay.
but it's two separate companies. But we were going around and we were like, we were promoting this, promoting that, and I was like, why don't we just like we can legally make things that are different, but
Mhm.
if I say Counterculture Inc., now I hit two things. I can cover. You don't know what I'm talking about, and
Yeah.
it helps. They mesh well. If a show does well, shirts sell, and so it's kind of a business model that's never been done, and I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm trying it.
Is that one of your shirts that you're wearing right now?
Yeah, this is
I like that. That's cool.
driven by pain, and this is my wife's design. She had it made
Nice.
and done, and just kind of like one of those things where like you can let pain break you, or you can let pain drive you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's funny that you're wearing that because last week I had Xander on from SDSC, and his whole thing was I'm choosing purpose over pain. So that's kind of ties in. It's pretty cool. I
yeah,
like that. I like that shirt. I like the script on it. It looks good. It looks metal. It looks
yeah, man.
good.
We just came out with this one like 3 weeks ago. So
Nice, nice. Well, let's so you were talking about earlier talking about how, guys coming on here, maybe there's certain things you don't want to say. It's hard to get monetized by YouTube or stuff you don't want your kids to hear. Let's tie the spiritual component into this real fast. So Satan is known as the prince and power of the air, right? And we talked about the music industry earlier. What are your thoughts on when it comes to spiritual warfare, like say even what we're doing tonight? We're talking about, you mentioned the book of Romans, we're talking about Jesus, we're talking about how we are as Christians. Like what are your thoughts on today's culture and how much is impacted by dark forces and unclean spirits and the manipulation of people, strongholds, things like that? What's your take on that, man?
I think anybody who doesn't think this is a battlefield with one team in particular would do anything to get your soul, but your soul belongs to the other team. It's the most clear cut day. This is a battleground, and the more pure you try and live, the more you see. I'm sorry for being vulgar, but for young men out there, if you cut out pornography in your life, like it all of a sudden you start seeing like just things like that. Things like
Yeah.
saying cursing, and it sounds so bad, but like you start living a better life, and it's everything's becomes more clear. Cutting out substances, cutting out. I'd never thought in a million years I would drink more coffee than booze, but I like now I'm old, but it's just you know it's definitely a spiritual battleground here on earth, and he's in social media. I could put up a post about God and spirituality. If it's not flagged and taken down for some bullshit reason, it doesn't get any growth, any reach. I'm gonna get an old lady on you, but he's in our phones, he's in our social media, he's in everything.
Yeah.
He's sitting there going like this. Come on, it's a fun life, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the easy left as opposed to the hard right.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, man. Good way to put it. And I don't think enough people realize that.
Mm.
I really don't. And there's some of these guys out here that claim they love Jesus that are making millions of dollars off his name and they're living for the devil, man. And there's a particular artist I want to just throw shade at right now so bad because he is worshipped here in my town, but I'm not going to do it. But
Yeah,
I don't
and
fall for it, man.
I think
I don't
that's
fall
a
for it.
very good, that's very Christian-like of you. I've had to find myself it is, and that's it's
Thank you.
almost like not even like a it's I've found myself doing that so much lately,
Yeah.
and being there like, "Listen, dude, I forgive this person, and I pray for them because
Yeah.
and they're just ridiculous human beings right now, and they're all Christians, and, they'll come at me and say bad, like, really nasty things about me, and, like, "Okay, man, I pray for you," and, but these people are also living a very debaucherous lifestyle. I don't even know if that's a word, but a
It
lifestyle of
is. Yeah.
debauchery, and
Debauchery. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
think that, "Oh, because I have a cross tattooed on my arm, I'm a Christian." So,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because when I was younger, I always wanted a cross tattoo on my forearm. And my line of thinking was, I'm not going to be sitting at a bar drinking and then have that cross on me, which is a weird way to look at it. But as a younger guy, I thought, no, that's hypocritical. I don't want to do that. But and
and
I've got a
it
cross on my shoulder. But
Yeah, and that's a great way of looking at it because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're right, but someone could argue that that's the wrong way to think about it, but I think too
yeah,
many guys get away with saying like, "Well, I'm a sinner, but, Christ saved me, but, I'm not perfect." Right?
yeah,
Okay, that's like saying, "I'm trying to diet, but I'm never gonna do anything about it." Like, "Oh, I'm getting
right,
kind of unhealthy."
right.
Like, no. You absolutely every day could take better steps to be a better man and a better Christian. And,
Hmm.
if you're going out to the bar every day, you know it's wrong. If you're drinking too much, you know it's wrong. If you're watching porn, you know it's wrong. These are all things that don't make you a bad person by any means, but people use it as like, well, I'm a hard dude, man, but I believe in Christ. Like, yes, Christ does love you 100%. I'm not saying anything about that, but you could live way better for Christ.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to bring in a group of people that may not necessarily know him too if you're trying to live by him versus living for the world. That's something I had to learn at an older age to reject the world. And you said this earlier, the more we try to live like Christ, the more we really see ourselves as just nasty sinners and we're unclean. And but that's how it's supposed to be. Paul talks about that.
Yeah.
Kill the old man, become the new man. And if you're doing old things like I used to do, like getting drunk and acting like an idiot, I mean, that's not living for Christ. That's living for yourself.
Yeah, and the devil speaks through people, and I
Hmm.
should say speaks through people that when people say things to you, it's people, you try to better yourself. Let's say you better yourself, but you were the drinker. And you're
Yeah.
like, guys, man, we really should. Oh,
Yeah.
now you want,
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Fucking chug a fifth every night.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's
Yeah.
clean. Like, they'll be the
Yeah.
first ones to
Yeah.
hate on you. Like, and
Mhm.
so, and you have to know that stuff's coming when you make a
Yeah.
change because no one, weaker people that don't want to make changes in their life are going to cut you down as soon as you can. So,
Yep.
or
Yep.
when you try to straighten someone out and they go,
Yep.
"Oh, you're a piece of shit." Well, I was, and now I'm telling you, like,
Yeah.
I'm here to help
Yeah.
you, brother. Like, I'm not here to
Yeah.
pass judgment. I'm here to help you. And the
Right.
first thing that's going to come from their tongue is going to be lashing out at you, and you have to be patient. Like I said, yeah, I was getting, you deserve a lot of credit for being a patient man because I think that's the hardest thing to do as a man. I think I could go out there and run a marathon before I can learn to be a patient man. I just,
Dude, I'm not patient. I'm not patient at all. I mean, I struggle with that. I really do. Like I am, I was laughing with somebody last week. Like, as soon as I get this done tonight, I will stay up tonight and get this thing edited and get it out. I will not sit on it. Like, I'm not just, oh, I can do it tomorrow. Nope. I'm going to bang it out tonight because I got 2 episodes tomorrow. So I'm going to get it done tonight,
yeah,
so, but, and then I'm not patient in other areas of my life because I try to put God first and trust him and I want to follow his plan. But then I'm like, can we speed this up? Because I don't understand what's going on, and try to pray about it. But it's hard,
yeah.
man.
I mean, like, and patience also is like, like I'm terrible. I'm not patient with my wife. That's the one thing. One of the few things Jesus is like, man, you need to be patient with your wife. Like, and
Hmm.
I find that struggle, And that's a man thing too. Every man is
Yeah,
like, "Oh my god," like, and then
yeah,
finding patience in that, finding patience in, you know, when how to react to somebody. Somebody's doing you wrong. Let's say you have a business partner that just is screwing you over, dude, and you're like, you know what? I could sink to his level, or I could leave it in God's hands and just pray for him. There's nothing I can do about it. The only thing I can do is hurt him, and that's not going to
yeah,
do me any good. So
right.
I look at stuff like that.
Yeah. No, that's good advice, man, and it is hard to kinda love from a distance sometimes, but as Christians, I think, hate the sin but love the person and just pray for them and,
Yeah.
set the example yourself, and it's hard, but that's the way we're supposed to do it. And I think it's cool too, man, just, and I've said this on this show a lot, we don't look like the average Christian, and, I mean, I think it's pretty cool that you wanna do this early so you could get to church tonight, and, like, where I live, if you walked into most churches I go to, people would turn around and leave because 'cause they'd be afraid
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah. I mean,
But I
it's
like that, though, I think it's cool, I like it.
like I came home. I showed this to my wife. My wife goes, "You got a demon." I'm like, "No, it's Saint Michael's sword going through his head.
I was gonna ask you what that was.
They just don't
Yeah,
have the blood,
it's
and
sick.
like because this is
Yeah.
Saint Michael right here,
Oh,
slaughtering
nice.
a bunch of fucking demons, and
That's
but
awesome.
that's that
Yeah.
dark image. Like that's that. I look at this, and this is a pillar of strength for me. Like
Yeah.
that's a demon right on my hand with a
Yeah.
sword through his head, and I'm sorry that if imaging like tattoos and stuff are. But I go to one of those churches where there's a lot of tattooed people there. That
Nice.
my preacher was a former addict. And this
Mhm.
isn't like some sketchy like NA church. This is it's been around for 40 years.
Nice.
They have great youth programs. All of our kids are in different, programs where they've tailored church to that mindset. And they're like, my big thing was finding a church that was actually leading the next generation of Christians, because it always
Nice.
happens. We go to church, but our kids get left behind, and then they
Yep.
find Christ in their 30s when we were finding
Mhm.
Christ, and that's not how it's meant to be. You're meant to find Christ, and yes, you will mess up, you will make mistakes, and you will sin, but having that moral compass that's Christian based at a young age is very important, I think.
Yeah, it is, definitely. That's a good way to look at it too, is to learn who he is at a young age, not, you know, in your 30s or your 40s. Because I came back to Christ when I was 42. I baptized at 13, but it took me until I was 42 to really understand who he was and why he died for me.
Yeah, yeah,
And
same here, man. Same here.
I know John Eldridge puts it best, and there's a book called Beautiful Outlaw, and he talks about talk to Jesus like me and you were talking right now. Everything you do, put him in it. And I try to tell guys this on this platform. God loves you no matter what. He's never going to leave you or forsake you. He's always there. He's just waiting on you to come to him. You don't have to have a certain background. You don't have to be perfect. I mean, he's for everybody, no matter what you've done. And I hope the guys listening right now hear that and say, go to him, ask for him, ask for his forgiveness, and seek him out.
Yeah, and I mean, we're all humans, like I'm me and you both. We'd be the first ones to be like, Jesus does love that man, and I forgive that man, and Jesus forgives that man. Stay the fuck away from my family, though. Like, because
Yeah, yeah,
you're a
no,
human, dude.
100%.
Yeah, I don't trust you, and I don't have to
Yeah.
be around you to pray for you and to know that Jesus loves you. So,
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, man. Um, you mentioned Romans earlier. Is there a principle or a certain scripture that kinda carried you through your darkest moment that you'd like to share here tonight on the podcast?
man, um,
Not to put you on the spot, but
no, you're gonna have.
but,
Well, it's gonna be cliche, and I've always wondered why I was like this. Why I randomly joined. I wanted to join and go to war so quick, and I joined the infantry, and I wanted it. I wanted it. I wanted to do things. I wanted to go when I was a cop. I wanted to work the hood. I wanted street crimes. I wanted uniform. I didn't want any bullshit desk job. I wanted this, and I always chalked it up as an ego pride thing, but I wasn't. I was like, but I'm not egotistical at all. I'm not a very prideful person. I just I couldn't figure it out. People were like, "Oh, the infantry guy. Yeah, you were the guy that wanted to." I was like, "No, man, I'm telling you, that's not me." And I was like, I was saying, "Send me." Like I want to do that because somebody else is going to have to do that if I don't do that. It's just right now, if they were like, "Holy shit, Russia just bombed us," or China, we're going. we can either fight this war now so we can do it, or our kids can do it. And of course, we would be like, no, we're gonna go do that. Also, I don't want people out here that don't want to go to have to go. Send me, I'll go.
Yeah.
So I'm the worst. Isaiah,
I know the scripture. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember it, but
yeah. That's
yeah,
it.
that's
I need
I'll,
to.
I'll put it in the notes when when I do the show notes, but yeah. Yeah, here I am, send me.
Yeah,
That is a good scripture. Yeah,
I never
that's really cool,
understood
man.
why I felt that way, but I always wanted to do it so nobody else ever had to.
Let me ask you this, man. Like, so when you joined the army, were you talking with God? Did you kind of put God in that career path, or was that something that you just said, "Hey, this is what I want to do. I just feel this calling, and I'm going to go do it."
Yeah, no, I wasn't uh definitely wasn't close to Christ in any of that in my life. I wasn't a bad person by any means. I just wasn't, a practicing Christian. So
Okay.
um, but I feel like he has been guiding me, and maybe I was just very open to it, but I didn't know what I was doing. But I feel like
Hmm.
if you pray, you know, he'll guide you to the right. You just got to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. That's one of my big regrets is I didn't put God in when I joined the Navy. I still am a prideful person. I struggle with that. And I just said, all right, Steve got his contract. I'm going. This is what I'm going to do. I never dropped on my knees and said, God, thank you for this opportunity. Will you please lead me and guide me? I just never did that, man. And I had that foundation as a kid. I just kind of thought I knew best, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
going to get, this is my shot. I'm going to prove to the whole state of Tennessee that I'm this guy. And, I didn't, but that's all right. That's it. Been there, done that. But I was just curious, man, because I like to ask guys that have served, if that was kind of on their mind when they were in, if they had God kind of with them or in their plan.
Yeah, no, I really wish I had, but the honest truth is no.
Well, but look at it this way, man. Like, you have a huge footprint online, YouTube, social media, and God is working through you, and that is really cool to see. And I think the only reason you and I met is because of God. Because I mean, let's be honest, dude. Let's just kick it the real deal. I mean, at the end of the day, I knew who you were for a while. I'm a small fish compared to you. So why else would we have met other than God intervening? So I think that
Yeah.
right there just shows that we're both are aligning, different paths but similar platforms because of God. And I think more guys are seeking that. We were talking about this before we came on the air. A lot of these veteran based podcasts, they're not talking about Jesus. They're not talking about men's mental health. They're talking about, war stories. And I never saw combat, so I don't have that to relate to. But it's almost like that clickbait. Like, hey, I'm gonna go watch this because this Navy SEAL is on this show or this Green Beret. I want to hear about this battle. It's not, hey, this Navy SEAL found Jesus. Like Eddie Penny. That dude is awesome.
Yeah.
I saw him on the Sean Ryan show and I bought the book Bondage Breaker because he talked about it. And that led me to doing a whole series through the Freedom in Christ Ministries because of Eddie Penny. So that to me, I think there needs to be more of that, more guys coming out talking about Jesus and
There there
their
is
path.
there is unfortunately the world of veteran podcasting is ego based, and when
Hmm.
now I'm going to get a little cynical. When you have a generation of beta males that have never served a day in their life and they want to worship a demigod, they're going to go to special forces guys. Oh my god,
Yeah.
they're so cool. I almost joined though once, but and they're just going to sit there and be like, "Wow, war stories."
Yeah.
And people like us that have put on a uniform, put on a flag, put on a badge. It's just like it's cool, man, and it's inspirational for sure.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's like, man, I can only watch so many of those before I'm like,
Yeah.
feel like this guy's just talking about himself a lot.
Yeah.
Anybody, it could be
Yeah.
anybody. Those, I mean, I do think those will come to an end. Uh, People are, that whole Brovet drama. I'm now
Yeah.
detached from it. I want nothing to do
Yeah.
with it. So let all the Navy SEALs and SF guys tear each other down, and
Hmm.
let that be a world full of drama where all of us step away and talk about men's
Yeah.
health, Christianity, and try to have a
Yeah.
positive impact on the veteran and first responder community rather than just putting negativity out there all the time.
It's like watching The Real Housewives or something, man.
bro.
It's just so much, dude.
Yeah.
It's so much. And my brother's active duty army right now. He's in special operations. And I mean, he's a quiet professional. If he met you in person, he would tell you what he did, but he's real careful about social media. And he's just like the old school, hey, this is my job. It's not my identity. Like I'm a dad with 2 kids and he's a stud. I mean, he's just that kind of guy, but he cracks me up whenever we get together. He's up in Clarksville. He's at Fort Campbell, so I don't
Okay.
see him a whole lot. But Dave is just one of them dudes. Like he puts his money where his mouth is. I mean, he's a badass, but he doesn't have to go bragging about, yeah, I did this and did that. Like he got a flying cross. Me and my dad didn't even know about it. My dad saw it on his license plate. Like it's it's just like,
Whoa.
damn,
Yeah.
dude. Like he's a pilot. But yeah. So it's just I hear what you're saying, man, and hopefully more veterans will come out and kind of talk about what we're talking about, Jesus, and talk about mental health. And, like we were saying before we came on the air, I've had more veterans reach out to me. And, I spent more time as a police officer than I did a naval officer. So I still think it's wild that these vets are coming to me. But yeah, it's and more first responders need it too, man. I mean, I think the mental health
Yeah.
world definitely
They're
needs to be.
the most toxic world I've ever seen, though, is law enforcement. That
Hell
world
yeah, dude.
will
Hell yeah,
fucking when I was a
dude.
cop 3 years ago when I started this, I said, "I don't care what happens. If one of your brethren outside of any type of child crime or something like that, if one of your boys gets arrested and he loses his blue line and his badge, you should never turn your back on him." Well, they do because it's not real. It's the brotherhood is it's a
Nope.
fictional line with
There
a
is no
with a
brotherhood.
so I and I've advocated I will stand behind cops that get arrested for DUI, DV because you know what? It's the fucking job that probably made them do it. And yes, it is their fault. And I'm not saying,
Yeah.
but I'm never going to step and stop supporting somebody like that because they let the job. I say this all the time. Cops bathe in sin for 12 hours a day. That's all they
Yeah.
do. They deploy to areas in the spiritual realm and the physical realm that you would never go. Same with firefighters. They do the same
Hmm.
thing and they bring all of that home with them. And by the time you're able to figure out how to do it, you're old and retired, you're broken, you're beaten spiritually and physically, and then you die. And
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I
Yeah.
the respect for that job and people that do it for an entire career is tremendous to me. Like, at the end of the day, it creates a very, very toxic culture. And
Hmm. The irony is what you just said. I'm one of those guys. I was disbanded from the Brotherhood because I got in trouble off duty, and then it was like I never wore the badge. A lot of guys I thought were my friends never spoke to me again. They're
and
still to this day won't talk to me. That was
I,
15 years ago.
I'm
They
telling you,
still won't talk
dude.
to me.
I'm telling you, dude. When you break through, people are going. I hate this, but this is what it is. People are going to do specials on you. They're going to pull your file. They're going to see. They're going. And the only thing you have is, I forgive you. I know you
Yeah.
need a YouTube channel. I know you
Yeah.
need this, and it's the worst thing in the world because cops do it to each other. That's just the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
saddest thing in the entire world. That's the one thing you don't see is too many veteran podcasts doing that. But,
Hmm.
I was in I took part in that, and I will take I'm not blaming anybody, but I had the ability to not take part in it, and I did. And I realized after the first time it was extremely negative and, it was I've never talked about this on a podcast before, but it is what it is. Like, I I was part of something, and I could have stopped it, and I didn't. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you get what you deserve," and all this stuff, and it's like, sure, I we can talk about majority if you want, but I don't like to place blame on people. I say, "This is what I did. I was a part of it. I was accomplice. It is what it is. I don't snitch. I don't rat. You throw tomato at me if you want, but let everybody do their thing." So, but
Yeah.
hopefully, podcasts like yours and mine that focus on positivity. Christ protects us. Christ looks after us. I pray every time before we go live. Please make
Me
this
too.
life good. Keep the negativity out of it, God, if
Yeah.
you can. And we're trying to have a positive impact on veterans and first responders, and that's all we care about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, there's a man listening right now, Tyler, that's kind of on the edge of giving up. What would you say to that man?
I would say first, you need you need to be right with yourself, and I firmly believe that you will never do that unless you start talking to Jesus Christ. If you accept
Amen.
him as your Lord and Savior, I'm telling you, like, I'm almost getting choked up right now. That is has to be step 1 because the
Mhm.
things that you will not win on your own, he has the power to get you to win it, to help you to win it. Once you do that, I mean, I do like a more of a battle plan. You start at your home. You start in your one-bedroom apartment. You start with your relationship with your kids. You start there. Who if you gotta go I tell everybody right now, I will go stock fucking shells. I don't give a shit. I'm never going back to fucking law enforcement ever. Probably can't now with this new fresh piece of ink, but I'm never I don't care. It means more to me to work, you know, to my job doesn't matter to me. More and more every day, my relationship with my kids and my wife mean more to me than anything. And this is fresh. This is within the last year. So I was a selfish piece of shit for 36 years of my life. But if you're on the edge of giving up, I would say start with Christ and then build out from there. Get your home, get your literally where you live, make it where it's not miserable to wake up. Um, establish a couple relationships of people that you know would never give up on you and say, hey, my life sucks right now. And it's really good to have you to talk to. And I guarantee you those people are going to pick up. If they're the right people, they're going to pick up the phone every time. You're honest with them, they're going to help you. And then just one success at a time. It's never you see somebody fall off, somebody fall off the wagon. It takes and then all of a sudden they're like, wow, they're doing really well. That was not overnight. That and do not expect it to be overnight. I would get off social media. I would keep your clan close and your clan small and build yourself up spiritually and physically because mind and body have everything to do with each other. And this is kind of where your forte is. And I'm not very, I lift weights, but you know, give it like having just a crazy workout session, I think can clear your mind and
Yeah,
make you feel way more positive.
big time, big time. That's great advice, man. I agree 100%. And to kind of tie this in, I don't think you can have mental health without Jesus Christ. I think you've got to put him in your life. You
And the
and even
great
AA do what?
Oh, well, the great thing is that you can now find more Christian-based counseling
Mhm.
than ever before because
Yeah.
people aren't afraid to say, "I want this," or "I want my NA or my AA or whatever
Mhm.
marriage counseling. I want Christ involved."
Yeah,
And they'll be
yeah.
like, "Cool, well, this is what we" now they always ask, "If you want us to leave Christ out, we will, because of course you're not gonna not help people, and if they won't allow you to help them while using Christ, then of course we're not going to we're going to bring him in later, but we're
Mhm.
not gonna tell you, So, but it's crazy the amount of help you can find that's Christian based nowadays.
Yeah, yeah. People are seeking it, man. They're looking for something. What's the best way where people can find out more about you and, counterculture, the Antihero broadcast, and just all the projects you've got going on?
The antiherobroadcast.com is almost up. Hopefully it's up this week, if not next week. But when
Okay.
I don't know when this is coming out.
Our episode?
Yeah.
Tonight. I'll get it out tonight, man.
Okay. Yeah. So it'll be
So, yeah.
hopefully be up by next week.
Okay.
You can go to countercultureinkthreads.com and you can get all we're just counterculture apparel. It's like grunt style if you gave it some balls. It's veteran and first responder owned, but we're not afraid to go outside the norm.
Yeah,
There's not that many like hoorah type shirts as much as they are just cool. Well, I will say this: a majority of them are shirts you might not be able to wear at the school pickup line, and that's okay.
gotcha.
But
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
countercultureinkthreads.com for the t-shirts, and then you can go to YouTube and you can YouTube the Anti-Hero Broadcast, or you can YouTube Counterculture Inc. Both those
Okay,
pages will show up. And we go live on the broadcast. We go live every Monday and Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, which
nice.
is not your time, which we learned. We had to do that math. But 11 a.m. Eastern time, that's a good hour for everybody in the country. Join us live. We're turning it into a radio show. It's a lot of fun, and you can just see that on YouTube.
Awesome, man, awesome. Well, how do you feel about leading us in a prayer as we close out tonight? I
I
can do it if you're not
no,
comfortable. I don't want to put you on
I
the
got
spot.
this. I got
All
this.
right, you got it. You got it,
All right.
man. Be courageous.
Your prayer wasn't on. Mine's were being recorded. We prayed
That's
before
right.
the show.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for everything that you've given me and the guidance that you continue to give me. Every prayer that I've asked about looking after my family has been answered, and you're always your presence is always around when I ask for it. You protect my kids, and you bring light in really negative times, and I'm thankful for connecting with you know things like like this right now. Like, this is amazing. You never think you're going to find like-minded people and similar backgrounds and similar just similar downfalls, and you meet these people and you wonder why, and it's because of you, Christ. So thank you for everything, and we love you in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. For all you men out there listening, if you got something out of this podcast, please share it with someone. Spread the message, and just know that you are not alone. That there are like-minded men out there that are willing to help, that are willing to spread awareness for men's mental health and the gospel of Jesus Christ. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, Tyler. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show and spreading your knowledge and your wisdom with all of our listeners tonight.
Oh, I hate it when people say knowledge and wisdom. I sound old, but
Whatever, dude. I'm older than you. I'm older than you, man.
Life experiences and fuck ups. That's what.
There you go.
That's
There you
what I
go.
got.
There we go.